So today I wanted to go over some early season edible perennials. And the thing about early spring is there seems like there's lots of abundance. Lots of leaves come out, but there's actually not that much to eat yet because most of the food we eat is stored energy over time, and you actually need a lot of the sunlight of the summer for things like corn and vegetables and fruits. You're not really getting those until the summer or fall. So what I want to show you is a couple things we have planted in the garden that we're able to eat early season. So right now we're in mid to late May, but some of these things we've been harvesting for the last couple weeks. So the first kind of more exotic plant I want to show right now is actually called sea kale, and it's a perennial. And most of the early season edibles are perennials because they can store their energy in the roots underground over the winter. So in the spring, the sea kale shoots up little, I'll call them broccolini heads. So we can just take these and kind of harvest them right here, and left with little heads that we can cook up just like broccoli. So that's kind of one plant we have going on. Now I'll take you back. A little bit more common one that you'll see at farmers markets is asparagus. So our asparagus patch here, and I'll come first to what you would probably typically think of as an asparagus. So it shoots right out of the ground, right from the roots. So it's a perennial, so you actually want to continue to harvest these year after year. So as the asparagus head comes out the ground, you actually cut it, and then you're left with your asparagus. So that's what you see when you buy them from the market. And the thing about asparagus is you're actually stealing the plant. So eventually you have to let the plant win and get to its full form so it can continue to store energy in the roots. What might be less common is to actually see what an asparagus plant looks like. So this is one that we've kind of left to go. So if you leave this head, it starts to put out little spreaders, and this is basically what it starts to look like. It starts to put out little feelers, and then over time it becomes really long and skinny and tall. So this is probably 6 feet tall at this point. And those will be put out, and that's what kind of stores the energy in the roots so that the next spring it can shoot out of the ground nice and early. So that's asparagus. Another early season perennial edible is sorrel. So sorrel is an edible leaf, and it's very lemony. So you can kind of pick it right out of the ground and just kind of eat it right off the plant. And it has a nice lemony flavor. So that we use as a kind of a spinach replacement. And again, it's very lemony, very, very good to eat right fresh off the bush. And the nice thing about spring is it puts up the really young shoots are actually the best ones to eat. So we'll kind of continue around, and many of the herbs are very early season. So here's some chives that these were shooting up in March, so we were able to kind of pull some chives off. And a lot of the herbs are more the perennial herbs are definitely things you can harvest early in the season. But chives are certainly edible and things you can be eating. Another thing that we've been pulling and eating is actually dandelions. So dandelion greens, it's actually a pretty later in the season, but they'll kind of self-seed themselves around the garden. And pretty much every part of the dandelion is edible, but we'll actually come in and harvest the leaves and make dandelion leaf salads and various things, and then also harvest the roots. So the roots can make dandelion tea and other varieties. So looking around, that's kind of just in this walkable vicinity of some of our perennials, some of the edible perennials that we have around. Now it's not a ton, so it's not the kind of staples, the wheats, the grains, the fruits, the large vegetables, but definitely things that we've been incorporating into our food. So really any kind of edible perennials are things that you can plant, and they can get you food throughout the season, especially early spring when there's not as much abundance in the garden. Hope you enjoyed, and shoot us some comments if you have any suggestions on any more edible perennials that we could add. Thanks, guys.